developed countries, it is a region specific. In fact, Canada is champion of stigma research. The first World Health Organization initiative, along with World Psychiatric Association, started it in Kingston, and it has been right in the forefront. There is so much contribution, and I think it's a matter to celebrate that stigma research in Canada has been, is continuing. It has the leadership role in that. I read in the newspaper, 30-second story I would share. A psychiatrist was giving an interview to a press, I think it appeared in Washington Post. They were talking about a book. And she quoted that, I had a patient who had depression for the last 30 years. And in 30 years, he never spoke about his specific symptom. And suddenly he turned up in the office of a psychiatrist with a book and a corner page molded and opened the book and said, you're not asking me the question, and this is what I'm suffering from. Another report I read that a young 35-year-old female was locked in the house for 17 years. And this appeared, I think, in 23rd of September 2009. I included this. The relatives has locked the patient, and this is in a mega city, millions of population. For about 17 years, they were giving food, water, everything from below the door. Never she came out, no treatment, until non-governmental organization somehow traced, reached, intervened, and the police case was filed, etc. So just open, I would like you to now raise questions. I have my colleagues to answer. What do you think? Is there a stigma in families? Is there stigma in the family? Yes, please.
Yes, there is. There definitely is. And it doesn't matter whether it's in Canada, whether it's in England, whether it's in India, there is a stigma. People have no problems in accepting help when it's a physical condition. But there's something about any kind of mental health issue, anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, you name it. Everybody stays silent. And it's all hidden in secrecy. And like you said, it's because of the attitude of families, society, practically everybody. And yet you mention any other physical illness, immediately everybody comes around, they're out there to support you. If you said, I have depression, first of all, you have to speak up, right? And secondly, who's going to come and listen to you? So there definitely is stigma everywhere, and I think
thank you. I want to listen from. Is there more in families, or it is more outside the families? What do you think? Is the stigma for mental illness more in families?
The stigma both inside and outside the families. Both, I think, is both true, and it exists here, right here in Canada. I have experience in my distant family. It's the same story, nothing different, same story. So both inside the family and outside the family. As Dr. Venkateswaran mentioned, that when the question of mental illness comes, everybody keeps silent this month.
Why is that? What do you think? I want to capture, you see, the purpose is we are in partnership with LUST, we're trying to find out the real question to give it a research focus in future. Why is it that people don't talk about stigma? And that is why I'm talking to people, the doctors, families, friends, students, elderly, anybody and everybody. What do you think? Why do they not talk about this place?
I think it's because mental health or mental illness is on a spectrum. We all experience some degree of anxiety, depression at times, and so we feel vulnerable. We think that this could happen to us, and maybe we we are afraid to go there because we know that this applies to us as well to a certain degree, and it can be a personal thing because nobody is free from all the symptoms of mental illness. We all have it on a certain spectrum. So it hits pretty close to home when people start talking about it.
Yes, I agree. And I think hi Simon, I'll come to you. Give me 1 minute. What do you think? Is there stigma? Is it more impact?
Stigma is definitely there, and I just feel that we as human beings find it very hard to accept another human being who's a bit different. That has been there from time immemorial. Personally, I feel that as human beings, if we can be confident of who we are, not what has actually happened to us, then we can make a difference. And I'm talking this more from the patient's perspective. But that's the reality, is that we find it hard to accept another human being who's different.
Thank you. Simon, has stigma reduced over time? Do you think there is a change?
But I'd like to comment. I think the major origin of stigma is that there's so much mystery that we don't know a whole lot about mental illness until the dawn of the science. And I think that's why that when we don't know, then we are afraid, and we tend to associate people with being possessed and so forth. But I do feel that the salvation of this stigma lies in the advances of our medical science that can liberate us from thinking mental illness rather than as a disease of the mind, but rather as a brain disorder.
Very controversial. I'll come back to you. Bob, please. Yes, please.
I think we have to distinguish between interactions between individuals where stigma could be seen as a negative force, one-on-one, and systemic discrimination. So many of us call ourselves psychiatric survivors. In other words, we survived the psychiatric system, and what we experience is saneism, which is discrimination based on the idea that there's such a thing as sanity. Because people who live in different cultures, in different places, will know that what is considered sane in one place could be considered insane somewhere else. So that standards of behavior are relative. But high rates of unemployment, difficulty getting affordable housing, people struggling to get physical health care needs met when they have a psychiatric disability, those things are across the board. So I think it's important to distinguish between stigma, which is one-on-one, and systemic discrimination, which is like saneism, is like racism and sexism and heterosexism.
Wonderful. Thank you. Good thought. I think I say hello to Paul and back to you, my good friend. So, do you think stigma exists in relationships? Do people hide with each other, living together, hiding the problems of mental illness? Do you think so?
Yes.
Yes.
But I think it's comes from two fronts. One is denial. They live with someone, they've seen it, and perhaps when it's revealed clinically in the future or down the road, I knew that. I saw that, and I just didn't react. I didn't do anything. So that, I think, is probably very common.
The denial can be both, they don't want to believe, and therefore their relationship and perception of the relationship doesn't have the qualities that they hope or they perceive, plus the reality.
So I just take 30 seconds. The story of a 28-year-old boy who was not well, started hearing. And he comes out of the jail and talks to his friend that I was hearing voices. And the voices were so compelling that I was thinking nothing but whatever I was told. And what I was told that my girlfriend is standing behind with a seeker and she's going to kill me. And he said, I went around from room to room to room to room, found nobody. But I saw that she was doing something with a flower in that. I went there, caught her with the neck, pressed it as hard as it needed to kill her. But today, the voices are not there. She is not there. I don't know whether it was ignorance or my illness, lack of education or insight. So this regret after an incident, when people start questioning that how come I did not understand implications of something happening in my life. What was it? You think such florid situations contribute to stigma?
Well, we certainly do.
What I hear, it's pretty clear that your stigma is universal. It's there. But I will, before raising another question, what can be done? I'll give you one example about, say, let's go 100 years back. And a disease called leprosy, Hansen's disease. Every family, everywhere where somebody used to be affected, no questions asked, nobody used to see face, nothing. And the governments had found the best answer to put them in a sanatorium, outside, away from your country. The famous sanatoriums for leprosy. But the same governments today, they've done away with it. Nobody thinks about leprosy in terms of stigma. Everybody goes, takes treatment, comes back, they live amongst us and no questions. We don't find sanatoriums for tuberculosis, do we? We don't find sanatoriums for leprosy. But these are the two conditions which are historically most stigmatized. And when you think, why is it that things have changed? The one thing which is responsible is availability of care. This is the story when we did not have any treatment for leprosy. We did not have any treatment for tuberculosis and things were bad, and as a society we had accepted this is the end. Nothing. Keep these people away from humanity, civilization, all kind of systems, because we are helpless. But things changed. Things changed because treatments became available. Now, the second piece is availability of treatment in books is not enough. It is the care which has to be available. Available to all. Available when I want it. When I want it the most. And in the cost that I can afford. And if you don't give me the treatment, the cost that I can afford, then not me, you suffer as a nation. You'll have to make another sanatorium. So the change will come with science. It is there. But I don't know. Do you believe that things will change if more treatments are available?
I still want to talk about either stigma.
Please.
I have personal no experience about it. I've been in the family or in the society, but I can theorize it. In my opinion, our society is so individualistic They have no time for other people. The stigma is in the family and the friendly circle.
Thank you. To add on to it, if you really review, our colleagues on it, there is high stigma in the medical professions. Not only medical, in mental health systems. The first barrier we have to cross as mental health professionals to win our own attitude and our stigma prevailing in the system.
Yeah,